Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's start the class with prayers.
Namaskar to everyone, Acharya ji.
Namaskar ji. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhavaswaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Vargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Asto ma sadgamya, tamso ma jyotirgamya, mrityorma amritam gamya. Om sahna bhavatu sahna bhunaktu saviryam karvavahi, tejasvi navadhitamastu ma vidvishavahi. Om shanti 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 om. In Yoga Sutras, we study about the fluctuations of the mind. And Rishi Patanjali, right in the beginning, he tells us if we can control the fluctuations of our mind, what do we attain? What is the fruit of that? He says, Tadadrashtu savrupe avasthanam. This is a third sutra in Yoga Darshan. That means, and the beholder, that means the soul is established in its own state. If at this moment you could completely calm your body, your thoughts, and your emotions, you would instantly become aware of your true self. That's what he's telling us. Completely. True self, the soul of your great body of the universe, the throbbing with the joy of God. So soul would be established in its own state. Tadadrashtu savrupe avasthanam. Isn't it strange that the joy of God is there, yet we cannot find it? We cannot feel it. The reason is that we do not know his bliss is that because we are intoxicated with ego feeling. So ego is keeping us separate from this bliss. It's almost like if I put a screen of some kind of a screen before me, even on this, if I just try to block myself, I'm still here, but you won't see me. Take the screen away and you will see me. So the screen of feelings arising from the ego, or you can call it ahankar, or even worse than abhiman, or you can call it body consciousness, whatever name you want to give, hides God's joy. Remove the screen through meditation and you will behold that joy. That is exactly what the rishis have said again and again. Our real nature is calmness, but we have put on a screen or the mask of restlessness. The agitated state of our consciousness resulting from the stimuli of feelings. We are not that mask, we are not that ego. We are pure, calm spirit. That's our real nature is. It is time that we remember who we are. The blessed soul and reflection of spirit. So take off the mask of feelings and face yourself. Whenever you become angry or filled with hate, you have a mask of evil. A person who gets angry enough wants to kill. Actually, he doesn't want to kill. But because his soul has identified itself with the feelings, his anger makes him think so. And these days we see it almost every day. This is happening. By the young also, by the old also, by the males also, and the females also. Therefore, it's not good to remain in the ordinary state of human consciousness, subject to such violent emotions. We imprison ourselves in various moods. This is the cause of all our sorrows. To escape, we have to dissolve the feelings and emotions connected with body consciousness. And meditation is the way. Feelings and emotions, they obscure the soul. So long we have thought of ourselves as having certain qualities with their characteristics, feelings of emotions and feelings. Patanjali says, you are masquerading as these passions and desires because you have done it for so many incarnations that you have utterly forgotten your real nature. Once you realize that each day you are only impersonating different characteristics according to your changing feelings, you will not be the same person. You will be able to cast off these delusive states. When you realize that passion and anger are not part of your true nature, these emotions will no longer have any control over you. Every person is innately wonderful. Every person has only to rid himself of the mask of ego consciousness. Remember that. Restlessness darkens our consciousness with emotions and obscures the light and joy of the soul. The very nature of restlessness is such that by the time you are feeling pleasure from one thing, you're already looking for something different. A persistent disconnect stirred by feelings. But bliss, on the other hand, the joy of God hidden in our soul is always new, always constant in our consciousness, because it gives complete 100% satisfaction. There's no more restlessness in us. It is the way to freedom from all sorrow. Perfect control of feelings makes you the master of yourself. That's why never be addicted to anything or bound by any habit. For example, drinking tea doesn't necessarily mean you are a slave to it. But if you have to have your tea, then indeed feeling has enslaved you. But have to have. As soon as you say, no, I don't need it, let that be the end of your bondage. Start by not catering to likes and dislikes. And we need to give the same training to our children. We spoil our children when we constantly ask them, what would you like to eat? I'm sure none of us, our generation, grew up like that. Whatever was cooked in the kitchen, we ate it. And we thanked God for it. You may say, if we do away with our feelings and likes and dislikes, won't we become like dumb matter, useless to the world? Think about it. Is that what Patanjali teaches us? Or other rishis teach us? No. They say that when you have mastery of your feelings, you abide in your true nature. The true state of the self, the soul, is bliss, wisdom, love, and peace. It is to be so happy that no matter what you are doing, you will enjoy it. Isn't that much better than to blunder through the world like a restless person, unable to find satisfaction in anything? When centered in your true self, you do every task and enjoy all good things with the joy of God. A goal of a yoga abhyasi is permanent bliss. A joy that never grows stale is what you want. And that is what Patanjali teaches that you can have. By becoming established in your true soul nature. Tada drashtu savrupe avstam. Then comes the question, how can we really take interest in anything if we neutralize desires and feelings? You have seen those who work without any interest in what they are doing. Their work and attitude show it. They don't care about the results so long they can say they are doing their job. But on the other hand, the lover works very hard and conscientiously for the beloved. He will do more for the one he loves than he will for himself. This is the way to serve God. This is how we will feel if we love God. We will work joyously for him. At one extreme, there are people who have the idea that to get ahead in life, they must work non-stop. We call them workaholics. But the other extreme is just as bad. As soon as these people become interested in spiritual matters, they lose interest in everything else. That is the wrong attitude. It is one reason the Hindus lost their freedom. Misused the doctrine of non-attachment. If we study our scriptures, if we listen to our gurus properly, they say, don't be lazy and don't be workaholic either. Because we even started saying that, so what if dirt accumulates? It is all right, why bother? To do anything about it requires too much concentration on material concerns. Be non-attached. Renounce all material activity possible. This is not what Rishis taught us. Because such an attitude hides mental laziness under a cloak of false spirituality. Truly great masters are very interested in the world, but without any attachment. Don't let your feelings rule you. How can you be happy if you're all the time fussing about your clothes or other passions? Dress neatly in clean clothes and then forget about them. Clean your house and forget it. Activity is not life. It is the expression of life. But some people are so constantly active that they make themselves miserable, exploding with emotion. The ordinary person is like a pendulum, swinging back and forth from one extreme to the other, always moving, always restless. The yogi, on the other hand, is always calm. centered in his true nature, like a stilled pendulum. When he is active, he can go very fast. But when he stops, he is centered again in inner and outer calmness. And this is what Patanjali is teaching us. So we must learn to work in this world with interest, but keep relaxed and unattached. Without interest, we have no spring for motivation. Have the utmost interest in doing everything for God. Love him so much that your greatest pleasure is to work and even plan for him. Doing things for God is a very personal experience, extremely satisfying. Find joy to do things for him, but when something goes wrong, do not get upset. Not the least bit. Why should you? You did your best. Yes, try to do better, but don't let adversity disturb your calmness, because you did not do it for yourself. Isn't that a wonderful thought? Why not adopt this attitude? We did not create this world, God did. Why should we think that we live in this world only to please ourselves? To live for self is the source of all misery. There's a beautiful poem describing this. There was a time when I looked at the flower and enjoyed its fragrance for me and mine. I heard the call of the brook, and it was for me and mine. Now I wake from that dream and hear it was only for thee and thine. The yogi's thought is always for thee and thine. He says, I'm here in this world for only a little time. And we don't even know how little the time is. Why form strong attachments? I do not know why I'm here, but God knows. I will work for him. I will try to follow not my own will, but what he wants me to do. It is this surrender to the highest wisdom that gives the strength. It is right to use your will, your Sankalp Shakti, but with wisdom and direction from God. Otherwise, if you use your will wrongly, you will fall into error and suffer the consequences. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse number 51, said, Karam jam buddhi yukta hi, phalam tyaktva manishina, janam bandh vinirmuktaha padam gachanti anamyam. He said, those who have mastered their minds, become engrossed in infinite wisdom. And minds means the emotions and the feelings and the thoughts, all of it. So those who have mastered their minds become engrossed in infinite wisdom. They have no further interest in any fruits of actions. Freed thus from the chain of rebirth, janam bandh vinirmukta, they attain the state beyond sorrow, anamya. Watch your motives in everything. Both the greedy person and the yogi eat. But would you say that eating is a sin because it is often associated with greed? No. Sin lies in the thought, in the motive. The worldly person eats to satisfy his greed. The yogi eats to keep his body well. There is a lot of difference. Similarly, one person commits murder and is hanged for it. Another person kills many human beings on the battlefield in defense of his country and is given a medal. Again, it is the motive that makes the difference. Remember, the calmness is the parent of right action. Constantly, we are choosing what to do, what not to do. With calmer mind, we can make better decisions. So calmness is the parent of right action. When you attain freedom from slavery to feelings, you become spiritually sensitive, but you are no longer oversensitive to matters. You feel pain, but are untouched by it. You see this world, but know it isn't the ultimate reality. You are above every limitation of body and mind, centered in the calm nature of your soul. Tada drashtu savrupe avasthanam. When someone comes to you in anger, remain in charge of yourself. Say to yourself, I will not lose my temper. I will keep on expressing calmness until the other person's feelings change. Then you are demonstrating perfect control. To have calm feeling doesn't mean that you always smile and agree with everyone, no matter what they say. That you regard truth, but do not want to annoy anybody with it. This is going to the extreme. Those who try in this way to please everyone with the desire of getting praise for their good nature do not necessarily have control of feelings. It is good to be pleasant, but agreeing with others all the time because you are afraid to speak truth, lest you displease, cannot be called control of feelings. So remember, it is good to be pleasant and agreeable if your behavior is sincere. Whoever has control of feelings follows truth, shares that truth wherever he can, and avoids annoying unnecessarily anyone who would not be receptive anyway. He knows when to speak, when to be silent, how much to speak, in which manner to speak. But that person never compromises his or her own ideals and inner peace. Such a person is a force for great good in this world. The truth is, we have wandered away into the dark lanes of old habits and have forgotten how to keep the joy of God centered in our hearts. When the soul is not at its natural state, it puts on the garb of moods born of human feelings. But if we learn to remain inwardly with the divinity, we live and work in the blissful state of our true nature. In ordinary consciousness, we think we are mortal human beings. But when we disengage ourselves from the ego, we see we are the soul. Delusion causes us to imagine these fears and all other limitations of the body because we are identifying ourselves with the body and the mind. But can you imagine that you are not a man or a woman? Sure, we cannot imagine it, yet this is the truth. Our real nature doesn't have a gender. In the divine joy of soul, the consciousness of the sex is entirely lost. The ordinary person thinks, I and my body are one. I am so many pounds of flesh with the senses and feelings. But the divine person thinks, I and my Father. He sees his body as a motion picture image. Just like an actor forgets he's acting and begins to live the part, we are like that. We have forgotten who we are and that we are only acting out a role on earth. When an individual does not remember his omnipresent, blissful self, he masquerades in the garb of feelings and thinks himself a human being, limited to the body and subject to suffering and death. That's why the ancient yogis, they said several times a day, remind yourself, you are not the body. You are the Atma, several times a day. Whenever you get a chance, remind yourself. We need to repeat it to ourselves. Throughout our whole life, we have been searching for happiness of that blissful self. Outside, away from us, in the things, in the situations, in the other people. But it has always has been residing inside us. The restlessness of the worldly person is such that he never tries to meditate. He never tries to introspect and know himself. The primary goal is forgotten, got busy with these secondary roles. You can open the door of realization only through the deep daily meditation. And what you feel in meditation, you must keep with you all the time. That's why early morning meditation, it will help us go through the whole day. Nightly meditation again will let us sleep like a yogi. You must plumb the depths of the peace and joy of meditation. And then hold on to the calm after effects. Then only will you change yourself. Even after meditation, sit there quietly for some time. Feel that experience. Just don't go into this world right away. Stay in that calmness of the Om. Otherwise, from Om right away we go into Ah. So we got to stay calm for some time. The body reacts to the changes of 4 transitional periods of the day. Most of the time we talk about only morning and evening meditation, but if you want to become a serious meditator, 4 transitional periods of the day. Morning, that is the period before sunrise, right before sunrise. Then there's a noon time. Then there's a evening around the sunset. So around sunrise and sunset, noon, and then night after 9 o'clock. It's very beneficial to meditate during these times, our yogis, gurus say. We can all start doing it, a short meditations, these 4 times, and see the effect of it. People belonging to other religions, they pray. If they can pray for 4 or 5 times a day, can't we sit and meditate just for a few minutes, 4 times a day? It is very beneficial to meditate during these times. Deep meditation and perfect control of feelings by holding on to the calm after effects of meditation will lead to samadhi, ecstasy of self-realization. Or you can call it oneness with God. But first we have to learn how to meditate. Pay enough attention to it. Give enough thought to it. Success in meditation is the only answer to the mystery of overcoming the human nature. Only then we can feel that soul has become established in its own state. Free from ego-created disturbances of feelings, and we become centered ever in bliss. So this is what I wanted you to pay attention to today, because you're all very regular, serious students. This path is beautiful, but we have to practice also. It's not something we just only listen. After listening, after understanding, we got to ultimately practice also. And once we practice it, then we see this mind of mine is so much in my control. I am the master. And this peace you will feel, the bliss you will feel, no matter what is happening outside. You'll always in a state of bliss, because you have established yourself in the true nature of yourself. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much.